Hey everybody, it's Tripl-L, and now let's talk a little bit about 7 Deadly Sins, chapter 269. Before we actually get into the rest of the chapter impressions, I first want to talk a bit about what we found out in Purgatory Life about the Purgatory Beast. We found out that there's 2 species, and this is the guy that we were shown off as one of the indigenous species. So this is pretty cool, mostly because when you look at this creature, well, when I see it, it kind of makes me wonder a little bit, because there's some design details that we've kind of seen present in both Cath, the cat that's hanging out with Arthur, and Hawke. Although Hawke is a bit more, I think that one I might be overreaching a little bit with Hawke, but let's just look at this. So this beast is pretty interesting in of itself. It looks like an amalgamation of many different creatures, but when I look at it, you know, we can tell that, well, it's obviously mammalian, and then we look at Cath, and Cath is kind of mammalian. We look at kind of the patterning on the animal, and we look at the patterning on Cath. Like, so far, it's relatively consistent. Looking at these two, I do wonder if there is that connection between the Purgatory creatures and Cath. And we know that Cath itself is strong enough that it can contend with some low-level demons. Like, that's pretty cool. So if Cath was, like, say, a baby of one of these creatures from Purgatory, I think that would make sense. When it comes to Hawke, the connections I'm seeing here are more in the fact that this beast is a chimera type thing, and the reason that I'm linking that to Hawke is because, well, Hawke also kind of has those chimera type qualities when he's using transport. And I have the picture here. The one that we should really look at is just it looks even like Hawke has the basic shape, right? Because, like, you look at this animal and it starts with that basic body, and then from the body, the limb, the tails, the ears, those are the parts that look different, that look like they're chimera-ish. And so, you know, it seems to follow the basic kind of patterning that we have with Hawke, in that Hawke keeps a main portion of his body and then develops extremities from that main bulb. Again, like, this might just be the way that the author kind of draws his animals in general, but I found the very different qualities of this Purgatory beast and the way that Hawke gets his transformation, along with the spotting and the patterning. I found the similarities to be really interesting. But to play up the whole side with the possibilities here, one of the things that I found really interesting is that Cath is based off of one of the myths from Arthurian legend, or it was based off a poem, and Cath in the poem was born from a pig. So, you know, the cat and the pig definitely have a connection. It's just, we don't know to what degree the author wants to take advantage of it. Now, one last note I think I have is, if Hawke is actually something that is initially born from Purgatory, and, you know, we have reason to believe that, right? Because Hawke already has a connection to Purgatory, but that might just be more of influence from the Demon King. But I look at the fact that this monster, or the animal itself, is so different. It has so many different qualities, and honestly, you know, you look at it, you have like those kind of like leopard prints, then you have like the weird ears that have, I guess, some kind of protrusions on them, and you could say, like, you know, Nakaba probably just made this the way it was so that Bon and Meliodas could have some cool outfits. So if you were saying that, you'd be saying, like, outfits dictate the design of the monster. But you look at those various qualities, and I wonder if for the Purgatory beast, it's an issue of the things they eat become part of them. And so that would be the connection to transport, where transport is a more temporary version, whereas the Purgatory beasts have the mature version of that power, which is just like they acclimate and they just take in good properties of other beasts in Purgatory. But again, we haven't seen that much information. And truthfully, well, I don't know how hard. I can't think of an example of 7 Deadly Sins being this hardcore with setting things up like this. Actually, no. 7 Deadly Sins has been pretty good about it. So I feel it could be, like, reasonable that either one of those 2 creatures could be a creature that has its origin in Purgatory. That's really something that we'll have to see in the future. You guys let me know, what do you think about that? What do you think there's actually, like, there could be a connection here? Like, right now for Cath, The thing that I'm using is the patternings, like the spots that this creature had, and the fact that it's mammalian. For Hawke, I'm taking into account the way that it has its form and what actually, you know, like the chimera type qualities and how Hawke has connections to that. So that's how I'm arguing it. Anyway, for the rest of the chapter, this was a feel-good chapter. Like the recent 3 chapters, I think have been pretty fun. Last week we had double chapters, that was really good. And this week we have Purgatory Life. Really not much is happening, but it's more of that emotional weight, right? We found Meliodas' emotion, something that Meliodas is calling pretty much Meliodas' soul. And so it's an emotional chapter, and the moment when we have Meliodas meeting up with Bond and crying, I felt that was a really powerful moment, and it's really nice to see both of them working together and just having fun in Purgatory. Mind you, it's not fun, but it's nice to see them happy and smiling. And thankfully, because it's Purgatory, they can spend hundreds of thousands of years together, and not that much time will actually pass in the real world. Now, on the note to Bond, you know, one of the big hopes with him being in Purgatory is that he was going to get his training session. And right now, can we say he's actually gotten training before this chapter? Can we say he's gotten stronger? Well, one of the things that we can definitely say is that his threshold for pain has definitely gone way up, because he notes that he has been able to just sleep through horrible injuries. So his thresholds are up. That's pretty great. Well, we don't really know how he can use it. It's only in this chapter that we can see some realistic growth, because like we started off with him not being able to keep up with the Purgatory Beast, and then we end off with him getting faster than the Purgatory Beast to the point that he can hurt it. So far in terms of Bond's power development, I'm pretty disappointed, only because he's already been in there for so long that I kind of wanted to see if he could, I don't know, I kind of wanted to see a bigger increase. But the thing is, we don't know a reference point for the Purgatory Beast itself. Because of that, you know, I think it's an issue of we're going to have to wait for a little bit longer to actually see that. Chances are when they get out of Purgatory, there's going to be a scene about how, oh wow, Bond's gotten so strong, and then we'll actually have a better sense for it. But right now, it doesn't look, because we don't have the reference point, it's hard to actually it's hard to properly appreciate it. If anything, we know he's gotten stronger over the course of this one chapter for sure. I wonder if Hunterfest, if all his snatch-based powers would also go up, because like the issue with Snatch is that his body needs to be able to tolerate the amount of power he's stealing. So yeah, even if his body is getting stronger to the environment, that might mean he's able to take more power now. That makes sense. Man, they're going to the Demon King. If they have a sequence where Bond actually steals some of the Demon King's power and uses it, that would be amazing. Holy, that would be amazing. Anyway, other things to really say is that this chapter was Monster Hunter. It was pretty freaking amazing with how they were able to make such cool outfits. And, oh man, is there anything else? Oh, actually, we saw that the rage forms, the foreign species forms, like Bond has like the fox form. I would love to see if he could bring that form out of Purgatory, because it seems like a pretty badass one, like just a nice little one to go into. I think that would be neat. He doesn't need it, but I think it would be neat. And if like Meliodas could have some extension of it, but Meliodas already has all his demon forms like in the back pocket, so maybe like that, it won't be something that sticks. But if we could see like even Bond and his Purgatory form versus, let's say, Meliodas and like that shadow form that he has in his back pocket, seeing that kind of clash would be really interesting. Like they're not equivalent powers, so I think there would be some kind of, it'd be a cool visual for sure. Otherwise, there's not really much else that's not super self-explanatory that the chapter didn't really tell us. It's mostly just the feel-goodness, the cool aspects of Bond chasing after that monster, the intrigue of the monster itself, and now they're going off to fight the Demon King. I want to see cool stuff. That's all I'm going to tell you guys. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Till next time, I hope you have a great day. And I don't know when I'll do the next 7 Deadly Sins video, but hey, it's a fun series. I'll probably make a few more over time.